I've now re-recorded this too many times to count because I'm trying to get this sound quality right, but I think I finally got it. New mic, nice. But basically, Trae Young came out just before the start of the season and said he thought the Atlanta Hawks weren't getting the respect they deserved. And you know how I feel. I know how you feel about this Hawks team. They're a good team. They're a good team. Now, they shouldn't have to earn that respect this season because what they did last season, second half of the last season, one of the best teams in the NBA record-wise. After Nate McMillan came in, they were just a much improved team all across the board. And then, well, the playoffs happened, smacked the New York Knicks, beat the Philadelphia 76ers, took the Bucks to 6 games, and that was without DeAndre Hunter, who never got mentioned when people talked about injuries. I remember more people talking about Danny Green being injured in that Philadelphia 76ers series than Hunter. Danny Green. But we saw what DeAndre Hunter means to this Hawks team because, against the Dallas Mavericks, if we're talking about respect, we're talking about going up against a playoff team back-to-back years, Dallas, in opening night and blowing them out, and DeAndre Hunter clamping up Luka Doncic because that's exactly what he did. One of the most unstoppable players in the league. Put that key away. DeAndre Hunter put him in prison and was not letting Luka do anything. And I'll talk about that. Actually, before I do that, if you could drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have not subscribed, whether you've watched the videos before, that would be much appreciated. It just helps out a lot. But doing both of those things would be cool. Let's just start with DeAndre Hunter. We'll talk about the Hawks and how this team just looks so good from top to bottom. This was without Danilo Gallinari, Lou Williams, and of course, the Giannis stopper himself, Onyeka Okongwu. They were missing those three guys that could be key pieces on any bench in the NBA, and they were missing those guys and just blew out a Dallas Mavericks team, which, as I've mentioned, has been in the playoffs 2 years in a row. They're still going to probably be a playoff team yet again, despite their issues. This Hawks team just looked a level above, and it wasn't because of Trae Young. It wasn't because of Bogdanovic having a really hot shooting night. It was because of everyone across the board. You had Cam Reddish and Kevin Huerter coming off the bench, who will definitely get a mention, but let's not waste any more time talking about everyone else because it's DeAndre Hunter's season, and it's definitely arrived. Whenever I've talked about the Hawks, I've talked about Hunter and how I think he needs to be the second best player on this team going forward. This is exactly why. His offense, it started a little bit slow this game, and he ended up finishing with 11 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Okay, so he didn't do too much on offense, but that was towards the end of the game. He made a couple of shots, showed off a couple of pull-up shots. I believe the offense will come over time. He just needs to get more reps, but at the moment, the Hawks have enough offense. They've got Trae, they've got Bogdanovic, they've got Collins. That's there. But what they do need is defense, and what every team needs is someone that can go out there and clamp Luka Doncic, who... When do you remember this man getting clamped in a one-on-one situation? Because for most of the game against Luka Doncic, DeAndre Hunter was guarding him one-on-one with not really any help defense, a little bit, but not too much help defense, and kept Luka to 6 of 17, 5 turnovers, 18 points. And to go a step further, I saw at least 2 of Luka's buckets in succession which weren't on Hunter. So straight away, he's only made 4 field goals, maybe even a couple less against DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter had him in the torture chamber. Let's just say it as it is. He had him in the torture chamber, and Luka Doncic didn't know what to do. And people wanted to argue, oh, well, Danny Green could have been a big loss for Philadelphia. Just stop it. He did it to Julius Randle in the playoffs. He's doing it to Luka Doncic. Like, he's positionless. He's just a beast. Okay, DeAndre Hunter is that guy. And if he's not going to be all defense this year, well... I'll be surprised, because at this point, when you're doing that against Luka Doncic, what else can I say? He also blocked Kristaps Porzingis. Yes, he blocked Kristaps Porzingis, who, okay, say what you want about Porzingis, he's still 7'3" that normally gets his mid-range shot off against anyone, and Hunter just swatted that out of there. So this man has unlimited defensive potential, and he's already showing that off. So I just wanted to start by talking about that, because when we're talking about X factors, a guy that only played 25 games last season or whatever for the Hawks and only played the first series, and they still made the Eastern Conference Finals, and Chris Middleton wouldn't have been getting any of those bogus points if Hunter was there. Oh, would have put a stop to that. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to look at the rest of the season. And moving away from DeAndre Hunter, I've got that out of the way. Let's talk about the rest of this Hawks team, because it's not a one-man show. It's not a two-man show. It's across the board, and that's exemplified by the fact that it was Kevin Herter and Cam Reddish that actually sparked this team into life. Because in the first quarter, the whole game was just kind of dead. It was turnovers, missed shots, bad shots. It was the first game of the season. It's what you expect, but it was pretty dead. In comes Kevin Herter. In comes Cam Reddish. Now, Cam Reddish ends up finishing with 20 points. Herter only ends up finishing with 6 points, but that doesn't really tell the full story. In the second quarter, when, as I said, the game was just not really going anywhere, Herter comes in, Reddish comes in, both provide an impact defensively. Herter comes in and gets a help side block, shows off a bit of range, shows off some playmaking, gets inside for a couple of mid-range bunnies, and then Cam Reddish, his first couple of shots were a little bit questionable, which he still does need to clean up a little bit. He's taken some tough mid-range shots when he doesn't need to be doing that, because whenever he wanted to, he was getting to the rim, he was attacking, he was getting downhill. So just don't settle for those shots. You can get to the rim and you can get easier shots there. And that's what he started to do, ends up with 20 points. But in that second quarter, those two came off the bench. It was just the bench unit as a whole. Those two were the standouts, but you had even Gorgie Jeng was passing the ball. DeLon Wright, he didn't end up finishing many of his shots, but I know DeLon Wright is a very solid player to be having coming off your bench. You've still got Gallinari, Lou Will to come back. I don't know if Okongwu is going to come back this season, but they just looked a class above the Mavericks. Even the Mavericks with starters on the floor, the bench unit was passing the ball around. Then when Trey came back on, we still saw that. So trying to find a weakness in this team at the moment is very tough. That's a tough thing to do, because you would have thought it would be defense. That was probably the initial thought about this team. You've got Trae Young, you've got Bogdanovic, you've got Collins, you've got Clint Capella, you've got all of these guys. The offense is going to be fine. This is a top 10 offense. Trae Young makes the offense great regardless. But defensively, well, then you have Trae Young, you've got Bogdanovic, maybe he's not the best defender. Who's going to be their stopper? I've discussed they've got a stopper, and yeah, he's stopping guys already. But who's going to be their stopper? That's ticked off. And then just looking at their team defense, help side defense in terms of blocking shots, Kevin Herter got one of them. Cam Reddish came over and help side, got a steal or two. You had John Collins was helping out. Then Clint Capella is always going to protect the rim and do a good job of that. Their defense is looking really good as a team, and also with some individual efforts. John Collins has got rapidly better defensively since the playoffs. He's just looked much better every single game you watch him play. Hunter, I don't need to go into depth. You see Clint Capella does the same thing every single night, which is just protect the rim. So where's the weakness in this team right now? Where is the weakness? Because off the bench, you're going to have some more experience coming in. This was a team that was playing Solomon Hill, who, no offense, I do love Solomon Hill, but okay, they've got better options than that. Danilo Gallinari is going to come back. I don't think I can stress that enough. They're going to get Danilo Gallinari and Lou Will back, who Gallinari, for some of the playoffs, was looking like, but for a lot of the playoffs also actually really helped him out. Lou Williams was a reason they came back in that Philadelphia series. Okongwu would be a walking double-double if he was a starter right now. I guarantee that he would be putting up double-doubles every single night if he was starting, which he could start on probably a handful of teams, because the man is that good. I do believe that. I genuinely believe that. And he's going to come off the bench whenever he gets back. They've still got Gorgie Jeng, who looked really solid in his minutes. So deep, connected defensively. Offensively, they're moving the ball, whether it's with the first unit or with the second unit. You've got Kevin Herter and Cam Reddish coming off the bench, and there's interchangeable lineups with Bogdanovic. They can go small. John Collins, they went small with him. They can go big. They've got Collins. They've got Reddish. They've got Hunter. They can go big, they can go small. The versatility in this team, like honestly, right now, the Hawks look like one of the best teams in the NBA. And Trey was right. They do need a little bit more respect, because what else do they need to prove at this point in time? I know it's just the first game. Could say it's a little bit of an overreaction. Well, this is just carrying on from what they already did, plus a little bit more, because now we're actually seeing DeAndre Hunter in the regular season, and it's a scary sight. I don't know, but like whoever's coming up against them next, I haven't checked the Hawks' next game, but just know that their opposition's best player is probably going to be clamped. And the crazy thing is, it really doesn't matter if it's a point guard, if it's a shooting guard, if it's a power forward. He's shown it. He goes up against someone like Julius Randle, who loves to bang and just go inside. Then he goes up against Luka Doncic, who does a little bit of everything, and clamps them both. So this Hawks team is looking very dangerous, and as Trae Young said, they do deserve a little bit more respect. Yeah, I'm going to leave that in, because that happens sometimes, and that's it. That's all I've got to say. If I missed anything, I apologize. Finally got the mic to work. Hopefully that sounds nice and crisp for you guys, because, I do it for you guys. So thank you for watching. Have a good day.